think most of you have enjoyed a very informative and beneficial session this morning. We have a couple of breakout sessions, so some of those are still in another room, and some of those are still in the trade show. I hope later on more people will join us for this very important session at the end of the day. We're going to have the Pan Am Games 2015 info session here. We are talking about 50 million business opportunity. Today we are very honored to have 3 speakers behind me. So I will introduce them one by one, and then they are going to present you what the opportunity lies ahead of us. The first one on my right is Mr. Bill Scarborough. He's the Director for Procurement, Toronto 2015 Parapan Am Games Organizing Committee. Mr. Scarborough has 21 years of progressive procurement experience in the Pan Am Games, holding the senior procurement leadership. He also holds a procurement leadership position in the L'Oreal Network, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and SimCorp. His responsibility at the Toronto 2015 Pan Am Games include leading the procurement activities for 600 million worth of goods and services required to be successfully delivered the Toronto 2015 Pan Am Games. Mr. Scarsborough's procurement strategy for Toronto 2015 is founded on fairness and transparency, and will include a supplier diversity program that will enable diverse business to participate in procurement opportunities. We ourselves will be one of those who will be benefit from this program. So pay your attention to this presentation. And then next to Bill will be Mr. Paul Bordoff, and he's the Senior Director of Marketing Merz. Paul has been the Senior Director of Marketing at Merz. I'm not sure if everyone you know about the Merz. It's a very important website or organization that you need to be aware of. So, Paul's team is responsible for supporting the need of both the procurement organization and the supplier and contractor who will be utilizing the Merz system. Over 20 years as a senior executive and strategy consultant to large companies, Paul developed with a deep experience in applying online technologies to create an innovative solution that will help improve the productivity and the end user experience. So we welcome Paul once again. And beside Paul will be Dennis Mullally. She's the Senior Project Manager for the Infrastructure Ontario. Dennis has over 15 years of experience in delivering capital projects for the public sector. For Infrastructure Ontario, she has managed 4 healthcare, educational, and other special purpose projects totaling in excess of 1.3 billion in construction value. Currently, she's a key member of the project delivery team responsible for the delivery of the Pan Am Athletic Village. This village is a major project in the 2015 Pan Am Games. She will be responsible for the management of the procurement process of the contract completion with the successful consortium and continues to provide construction oversight. This 2 million square feet project is one of the largest residential developments in Toronto and across Canada. So previously, Dennis also held a leading role in the Women's College Hospital Redevelopment Project. This project achieved a Silver Award from the Canadian Council of Public and Private Partnership. Prior to Infrastructure Ontario, Dennis worked for the Ontario Lottery and Gaming in the Capital Construction Division, responsible for delivering casino projects across the province. So we have 3 distinguished speakers for us today talking about the opportunity lies ahead for us. So without further ado, can I introduce our first speaker, Mr. Bill Scarborough.
Thanks, Elliot, for those kind words and that nice introduction. So, first of all, it's great to be here on a Sunday or Saturday afternoon, presenting to you this afternoon. I'm going to take you through about 15 to 20 minutes of this presentation. At the beginning, I'm just going to explain a bit, give you an overview of the Parapan Am Games in 2015. I'm then going to go into some level of depth in terms of what we're going to be buying over the next 3 years, how we're going to buy it, and then most importantly, how businesses such as yourselves can get involved and participate in the opportunities. So the Parapan American Games is a world-class event. It will be the biggest multi-sporting event in Canada, and certainly the largest multi-sporting event in Toronto since 1930. In 1930 was the last time that the now Commonwealth Games was held. It was the British Empire Games in 1930. And funny enough, Iverwin Stadium in Hamilton was built specifically for those games. And here we are in 2012, 2013, and we're going to tear down Iverwin Stadium to rebuild it for the Pan Am Games. The Pan Am and Parapan Am Games is a North, South, Central America, Latin, Caribbean, American sporting event. 41 countries will participate, 10,000 athletes and officials from all over those countries will come into Canada, into Toronto and the Greater Golden Horseshoe for 17 days for the Pan Am Games and another 8 days for the Parapan Games. The organizing committee, the team that I work for, is a not-for-profit corporation that was put together specifically for staging, delivering the games, and today it's 55, 60 people. We will grow to be about 400 people by the time games time arrives, and will require approximately 20,000 volunteers to help put the games on. Some of the numbers, I'm not going to repeat myself. There's 40 plus venues. There's 51 sports. Again, 20,000 volunteers. So if businesses and citizens are interested in business opportunities as well as volunteer opportunities, this will be the place to keep your eye on over the next 3 years as we start recruiting the volunteers. The games will be played in the region, so in the Greater Golden Horseshoe region, as east as Oshawa, so we have our boxing event is in Oshawa, as west as St. Catharines and Welland, where there will be flat water rowing and canoeing. North, Minden and Oromodanti. Minden will have kayaking, rough water kayaking, Oromodanti cross BMX biking, cross-country cycling. Caledon, equestrian, Milton, the velodrome is going to be built for indoor cycling. Hamilton, soccer, and then a lot of the sports that I haven't just identified are going to be in Toronto. So for the most part, this is our footprint. There's 3 sports that haven't been identified from a venue perspective. Golfing, we're working on where the golf tournament is going to be held. We're working on rifling and shooting, and then we're securing baseball and softball, women's baseball, men's and women's baseball and softball. Yet to be determined. So funding, it's important just to understand the funding of the games. The games budget is $1.4 billion. Most of that, 70% of that, is being funded by 2 levels of the 2 large levels of government, provincial government and the federal government at 35% each. Municipal governments or municipalities will be paying 20%, and 10% of that budget is ours to generate through ticket revenue, sponsorship sales, merchandise sales, etc. Of the $1.4 billion, it's important also to understand half of that is capital. The federal government is funding our capital, so these are our real estate builds and major renovations. Denise will speak to those in a bit. And Infrastructure Ontario will manage those projects for us. Most of those projects will be managed by Infrastructure Ontario. Some of the smaller ones, the municipalities, a couple of municipalities themselves will be managing them. So if you're interested in construction around the Caledon equestrian venue and the Welland flatwater venue, you might want to visit the 2 municipalities of Caledon and and Welland's website to keep an eye on when RFPs will be posted. And the expense, operating expense, is the rest of that 1.4 billion. So 700 million in operating expenses, and that's cost to stage the game. So that's internal organizational cost, security cost, venue rental costs, different royalties and fees that we pay to different organizations, and then the cost of procurement, sporting equipment, security, catering, etc. The procurements that drive from that 700 million are in around 350 to 380 million dollars. So that's what I'm going to address here today is the around business opportunities is around 350 to 380 million dollars. This chart's a little wordy. I hope you can see it okay, but this gives you an overview of the goods and services that we're going to buy over the next 3 years. Again, this is a high-level overview. Most of our requirements haven't been defined quite yet, but I'll go through them quickly for you. So overlay is our term used for getting the buildings, the base buildings or the base venues ready for games. So when Infrastructure Ontario, for example, is finished with the Aquatic Centre, we'll take over the centre for months prior to the games. We'll make it look like the Pan Am Games are going to be there, so signage, scoring, reporting technology, etc. There are a lot of temporary goods that will be put into each venue, so seating, fencing, portable washrooms, storage trailers, and things like that. Hospitality and travel, another big category. A couple of the big items in that category are catering, uniforms, community events. There will be a lot of festivals across the Greater Golden Horseshoe. All those festivals require talent. They require audio-visual equipment, catering, and alike. Services category, a lot of services, from janitorial, cleaning services to food, catering. The major catering will be at the Athletes Village to feed. So we'll look for a company to put together a major mess hall to feed 8,000 athletes, 2,000 officials, etc. The technology involved in the games, for the games, it's pretty wide, from networking equipment to wireless communications, timing scoring systems. Games operation includes sport delivery, so sporting goods equipment, basketball, tennis balls, gymnastics equipment, and the like. Medical equipment, we will have medical polyclinic set up at the Athletes Village with portable MRI, X-ray, dental chair, etc. And then, of course, office administration, office supplies, courier postage, photocopiers, printers, computers. So that's the breakdown of the goods and services at a very high level. But the purpose of this is to generate ideas within the businesses that we present this to, so that you can see and try to match what your business delivers versus what our requirements are going to be. The timing of when we will be buying the majority of our goods and services is very important to understand. We're planning now. We're doing a bit of buying now for goods and services that we need now. But the bulk and the majority of what we need will be bought during 2013, 2014. Not to say that there's not a lot of work to do between now and then. We're assessing suppliers. We're building our requirements, defining our requirements, talking to a lot of businesses to get ready for this period of time, because it'll be a short period of time in which we will need to buy close to $350 million worth of goods and services. So getting prepared right now is very important. In terms of our procurement strategy, I'm going to go through a couple of charts on process and strategy. Our priority and our basic, I guess, our underlying strategy is to buy as much as we can with local businesses. And so what this chart illustrates is our strategy to buy locally within the Greater Golden Horseshoe as much as we can, reaching out to the rest of the province looking nationally, looking through the Pan-American countries, and then where we have to go abroad internationally for goods and services. So the strategy, we must keep in mind one thing though in terms of the strategy, is that we are spending taxpayers' dollars. So our strategy, what underpins our strategy is value for money. The procurement process is used in Toronto 2015. There's three processes essentially, low, medium, and high dollar processes. The low dollars, so up to $10,000 of goods and services, is a very informal procurement process. We're going to get a quote. We're going to get a couple of quotes. We're going to place a purchase order, place a credit card order. What we're looking for is we're going to look at our supplier database. So a little later, I'm going to show you how you can register your businesses to get into this database, because that's who we're going to call for these small dollar items. The middle tier between $10,000 and $100,000 will require a more formal process. Typically, it's a request for proposals, but it will be an invitational process. So we're going to look at least 3, no less than 3, up to 5, 6, 7 companies, and we're going to invite them to bid on this work and make a selection from that. And again, the suppliers that we're going to invite will include suppliers that are in our database, suppliers that we've seen on Merck's, for example, that have bid on this type of procurement in the past, or based on our market research, suppliers that we find. It will be posted. All postings or all procurements over $10,000 will be posted on our website. And last but not least, procurements over $100,000 are open tenders posted on Merck's. And so these are open to all companies of all sizes, for the most part, all over the world. Supplier selection criteria is important. It's just important to understand. We look at total cost of ownership. So not just the price of the goods and services, but the cost of getting them to us, the cost of disposing goods after the game, storing, freight, logistics, availability of goods and services. So we will be assessing suppliers now for goods or services that we will require in 2.5 to 3 years' time. So we need to make sure that the suppliers we look at and talk to right now are going to be around in that period of time to deliver. Quality is important. Innovative solutions. We look for innovative solutions. We may have a requirement in our RFP that the way it's stated may not be the best way that the products or services are delivered. So we look at businesses to tell us how they can exceed our expectations or exceed our requirements. Capabilities and experience, obviously very important. We need to know that you've done this before. Financial strength, again, that's tied to the availability of goods and services. We need to know and make sure that companies are going to be around in 3 years to provide the services to us. And finally, diversity. Diversity is an important criteria in our supply strategy. I'm going to go through a couple of slides right now and talk to our diversity strategy. We're going to be using a broad base of suppliers. These are typically small, medium enterprises and businesses owned and operated and controlled by the following classification: Aboriginal peoples, women, visible minorities, individuals with disabilities. So that's the definition that we're using right now for our supplier diversity program, or diverse suppliers. In addition to that, diversity points will be awarded to large businesses who are non-diverse but who demonstrated a commitment and will be obligated to administer a supplier diversity program of their own for the goods and services that they provide to us. So again, the diversity policy that we have is more than just words. We score, as you respond to an RFP, we score it based on a weighting criteria. We explain that in the RFP. We explain what each section is going to be worth in terms of number of points. And diversity is given up to 10%, a score of the total score of the RFP response. So the important thing there is if you're a diverse company and you're competing against non-diverse companies and you are neck to neck in terms of the scores, that extra 10% that you could be awarded by being a diverse business will put you over the top and could mean the difference between winning a tender or not winning a tender. We like to think we've taken, and we are taking, a leading approach to supplier diversity. The approach was designed to leave a legacy of sustainable supplier diversity growth in Ontario. Supplier diversity actions taken by us so far include the following. We formed a Supplier Diversity Advisory Council. This council consists of third-party organizations, including organizations like CAMC, that should say Diversity Business Network, DBN, not DNB. We Connect, Women-Owned Entrepreneurs, Canadian Council of Aboriginal Businesses, Ontario Lesbian Gay Chamber of Commerce, and the Toronto Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We will, I'll talk to Elliot afterwards to see if we can get some interest from the ACCE in terms of sitting on our panel. I think that would be terrific if we had Chinese businesses represented on this council. We'll also develop and host workshops. These workshops are targeted and aimed at, or focused, I should say, on helping small businesses understand how to better do business with public sector bodies like ourselves. So they will include sessions on RFP writing, responses to RFPs, financial services, legal services, technology services. We also proactively reach out into the diverse business communities. Similar to what we're doing here today, we've presented this presentation at least 20 times last year to various diverse businesses associations, and we'll continue to do so just to get the word out. Going down the road, we're going to be looking at splitting contracts. So we recognize that small, diverse businesses, perhaps, I would think that in a lot of cases aren't going to be big enough to satisfy all of our requirements. So we're going to look at splitting our RFPs into smaller pieces so that smaller companies can aggressively go after those contracts. We also provide valuable feedback after an RFP session. So in the case that you didn't win an RFP, you'd come in, we're going to give you a debrief in terms of where we thought your strengths were, where we thought your areas of improvement are going to, are required. And last but not least, we're going to foster through this advisory council and through our tendering process, we're going to foster what we call Tier 1, Tier 2 business relationships. So large company, we're going to mentor or foster a relationship between large and small company. One of the things we want to maintain is a legacy afterwards that we can help small, diverse businesses grow through a relationship with larger companies. Just a couple of closing charts. The call to action here, so this is your homework. Go to our website. There's a tab called Getting Involved, and then another tab called Doing Business or Business Opportunities. And there's a section in there to register your business. So this gets you into our database. So if you remember, when I search for suppliers, I go into this database, and this is where your input is important. So the website's there. If not, I think, Elliot, you have it on your website as well. I think you had our last presentation.
Let me get your PDF file.
Yeah. So please visit our website, register your company. It's just important. That's how we get to know you. We have, first of all, we're proud to have a lead sponsor, the Pan Am Games. We couldn't put the games on without sponsors. Our lead partner is CIBC. And in doing, the partnership with CIBC has many facets to it. One of them is they will help businesses who want to go after opportunities with the games, but may not have the financial strength at this point in time. So what this chart is meant to do is, if you, and I won't turn around because I think I'll see an RBC banner right behind me, but if you need financial services and you need that assistance to go after the business opportunities, you can take these names down and call the folks at CIBC, and they're more than eager to help. And in closing, we're open for business now. So you might have seen a category up there that best meets your needs in terms of what you supply. Not too early now to call, to send me an email, to start promoting your company. We're committed to an open, fair, and transparent process. We're ramping up in 2013. Most of the procurements will happen at that point in time. We're doing business in our backyard. So again, take you back to that strategy, doing as much locally as we possibly can. We're going to continue to take a leading approach to supplier diversity. And our diversity plan is, and I didn't say it earlier, but our diversity plan doesn't have targets. And we're not going to set a target in terms of number of dollars spent with diverse companies. We're going to reach out, we're going to enable, we're going to help diverse companies grow and give them a fair shot at our business opportunities. And we think that's more sustainable than a handout. And last but not least, all of our procurements will be announced on both our site and Merck's. Procurements over 10,000 will be announced and advertised. So please, if you do nothing else, visit our site, visit Merck's, and stay abreast of our business opportunities. And with that, I'll hand it over to Paul for the next part of the presentation. We'll take questions at the end, if you don't mind. Sorry.
Well, I think it's clear from Bill's presentation that this is going to be a most unbelievable opportunity, both from an exciting event that's going to happen in Ontario and in this region, but also an exciting business opportunity that's going to occur right here and right within everybody's reach that's in this room. I'm going to spend a few minutes today talking a bit about Merck's and how we fit into the process that you're going to have to participate in if you see fit and want to do business with the games as they approach. A little bit of background about Merck's. If I can get that to work properly. And I'm supposed to be the technical side of it. You can just go ahead and advance it for me. So, just a quick question. How many people are already registered or users of Merck's within the room? Oh, it's a great opportunity for me and for those of you that already know about us. You know the value that we bring into the marketplace and creating opportunities. We've been in this business a long time. We are the only national service of its kind providing tendering services in Canada. Our biggest customers include the Government of Canada, the Province of Ontario, most other Canadian provinces, most of Canada's largest crown corporations, dozens and dozens of the private sector companies in Canada, and many municipal, academic, and social and healthcare institutions. So we have broad coverage across the entire country. We have, you'll see in a moment, we have a large number of suppliers. Terrific, thank you. So you can see why people use Merck's. And so we are an intermediary. We are a conduit to business. And so we represent the needs of both the vendor community and we represent the needs of the buying organizations who are trying to procure. And why do buyers use Merck's? Thanks. They use it for efficiency, productivity. They use it because it's an automated way for them to manage all of their procurement. It is open, it is transparent, and it is fair, and that's one of the most important reasons why organizations use Merck's. And I'll try and dispel some of the myths that are out there in a few moments. And from a buying organization's point of view, the 67,000 plus suppliers that we have across Canada create a way to generate competition, both on price and value. From the vendor or supplier side of things, people come to Merck's because there are thousands of opportunities that may be available to them. It's one central location. We provide opportunity matching services. One of the first things that I heard after I joined Merck's, when I talked to people about their use of Merck's, I would hear regularly that what they do, when they get to work first thing in the morning, they grab their cup of coffee and they get on to Merck's and they search for opportunities. But we also have mechanisms to deliver you an email every day with opportunities that match a profile that you create that matches what you do. And I'll talk about that in a moment as well. Of course, everything is instant, everything is real time, and I think one of the most important things that we talk about when we're talking to organizations that represent small and medium-sized businesses, it's a wonderful way to create partnering opportunities. As Bill said, some companies may not have the capability to deliver on a very large procurement requirement, but within Merck's is the ability to identify who those companies are and go and market yourselves to them and become a business partner and generate opportunities that way. So let me talk a bit about perceptions that are out there, and I think one of the ones we hear all the time and is categorically not true in any sense is that electronic tendering is not transparent, and it is false. Just the act of publishing on Merck's creates an open, fair, and transparent record of the procurement that's taking place. And once it's on there, every detail about that procurement is tracked along the way, from who the bid takers are, all the way through to, in some cases, through the bid submission process. So please do have faith in the fact that it is open and it is fair and it is transparent. As well, there's a perception that electronic tendering is only for large companies. Again, we're a very busy business portal. As I said, we have 67,000 suppliers who are part of the Merck's network. And by and large, most of those, and it is a mandate of the Government of Canada in terms of the promotion of Merck's, is that most of our supplier community are small and medium-sized businesses. And I think, in fact, the majority are less than 10 employees. And here's one I know will resonate, is that organizations have picked the winner prior to the tender being published. And again, it's absolutely not false. Organizations like 2015 and Infrastructure Ontario, two of obviously our large partners, they are adamant about the process being open and fair. And just Canada is a leader in the world on tendering and the process being open, fair, transparent. And I'll continue to repeat that because I think it's important that people understand that. As well, many small businesses are not equipped to respond properly to tender opportunities. And I think that is true, and I think small companies, as they look at opportunities that are posted on Merck's, come away a bit fearful that they don't have what it takes necessarily to be able to bid on or win. And I think one of the things that Bill talked about earlier in his presentation is really important, which is it's very important that you make the organization who's doing the procurement aware of what you have to offer. If you've got a product or service that you know is potentially unique, does things that the marketplace may not be aware of yet, that you think that they may find valuable, it's important that they know about it so that they can adjust their thinking about the kinds of products and services that they want to procure to match the needs. And it's also very important, if you're going to bid, to learn how to bid properly. The rules about how to bid are driven by the buying organizations. They are very strict about how they're going to receive bids. If the bid package says it has to be submitted by 10 a.m. in the morning, if you're there at 10:01 with it, you will self-eliminate. If it says that the warranty on the widget that you're offering up has to have a 3-year warranty on it, and your proposal says that it has a 2-year, you will self-eliminate. And so it's very important that you spend enough time analyzing the opportunity, reading through the tender documents, which are legal documents, making sure you understand what the procurement is, and the rules of engagement that are being put forth, and adhere to those as closely as you can. And there are companies in the marketplace who are very good at working with companies on submitting RFPs, writing RFP proposals, and learning how to win. Bill touched on this a bit, but you can see the kinds of services and goods that are, including construction, that is planned over the next several years. And so, it's, again, as you said, it is early days. The majority of procurement is still in front of us, which means lots of opportunity and lots of time to start planning how you might position your company to participate in that opportunity. So, some tips. So if you aren't registered on MERX, do it today. Go home, it's free. It takes 5 minutes to do it, and you will have established yourself as a supplier. The only requirement for any kind of credit card is if you then transact in the future, that's how payment gets handled. But the registration is very easy and straightforward. So that's the first recommendation that I give you. Secondly, once you've registered, we have something called an opportunity matching profile. Go into the system, profile your business, tell the MERX system what you do, how you do it, through keywords and other ways. Put yourself in a situation when someone who's looking for the product or service that you're capable of delivering, your name will come up when they do a search. And that's extremely important. And there are videos, video tutorials, we do webinars all the time. We have people within our customer care group who will help you once you register to set that up so that you're best positioned to find opportunities that match the business that you're in. The other advice is to search MERX every day. Don't rely on that opportunity matching profile to magically find you all the opportunities. Get into work in the morning, log on to MERX, and look for new opportunities that are put up by one of these organizations or one of the several thousand organizations who publish their opportunities on MERX every day. And I think, as I said before, one of the most important ones is to look at the list of companies who have already downloaded bidding documents. So in most cases, the procurement organizations, when they publish their tendering opportunities, everybody else who has downloaded the bid documents, that information is associated with that opportunity. Go and see who else is interested in bidding on that, and you may find, again, as we said earlier, you may not be of a size to bid on a large project, but you may find an opportunity to go partner and market yourself to that opportunity. So just to wrap up, again, the things to take away, please, are register today, set up your opportunity matching profile so companies can find you and do business with you. Check MERX every day and look for new opportunities that are published. Review the document request list so you know who else is bidding on opportunities that you might be interested in. And if you have the opportunity, follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. And our supplier network are very good about telling the world about things that they've seen on MERX, and they do a lot of that work on our behalf. We do, as I say, we do webinars all the time. We do live events all the time in conjunction with government, and we have a terrific customer care group who will help you every step along the way. Thank you.
I'm going to talk mainly about Infrastructure Ontario. I'm going to breeze through some of the initial slides just to orient yourself to Infrastructure Ontario, and then speak briefly about the Pan Am Village, some of the venues, and in particular, the project probably closest to my heart would be the Athletes Village, being the person who is responsible for delivering the village on time and on budget. So a little bit about Infrastructure Ontario. For those who aren't familiar with Infrastructure Ontario, we are a Crown corporation fully owned by the province. As agent of the government, we're responsible for delivering construction projects, lending, real estate management, asset management. We are driven by the value for money model, delivering value to the province and the taxpayers, and we are driven to providing excellence in our customer service. So IO has 4 major divisions. It has the AFP and Major Projects Division, To date, since inception in 2005, we've delivered about 50 AFP projects worth about $23 billion. That includes anything from hospitals, jails, most recently sports facilities, information technology projects. We also have a loans division. It provides loans to public sector entities, and to date we've delivered about $4.5 billion worth in loans to these entities. With the merger last year with Ontario Realty Corporation, we also adopted 2 new divisions. That would be the building assets. Primarily, it's responsible for overseeing the government's responsibility to manage their assets, a lot of the ministry's accommodations, and public services. There's a whole division of smaller fit-up projects that are delivered by service providers to the government, and they manage those processes. And then we have Ontario lands. There's about 1 million acres of government lands that have to be managed. There's some short and long-term plans that set out by the government that they are required to meet. So infrastructure's role in delivering the games. In the spring of 2010, IO was issued a letter of direction. That's typically how we receive projects, mandated by the Ministry of Infrastructure to deliver the infrastructure required for the Pan Am Games. We're typically involved with projects from start to finish. Heavily weighted in the beginning, we provide a lot of transaction advice, analysis, give opinions onto the structure of the deal. We lead the procurement process. It's a lengthy process of the request for qualifications, or RFQ process, and the RFP process. We work through the evaluation, negotiation, until we reach a successful bidder, or the preferred proponent, if you do call them. We also say, as I mentioned here, we do a lot of negotiations with the bidders in the contract awards, and through the construction process, or we call it the implementation or post-financial close period, we do have construction oversight to make sure that all these projects are coming in on time and on budget. So why was IO chosen to deliver the games? Well, the Toronto 2015 Games is in the summer of 2015, and it's a hard deadline. It cannot move. So we have a track record of delivering large, complex projects on time and on budget. Our projects are typically large. Usually they're the $100 million plus level, up to $3.5 billion. We have experience with lots of different sectors, so we're able to bring this experience in order to deliver this vast, varied infrastructure that's required for the games. We also work closely with partners, in particular with the Pan Am Games. We work closely with Toronto 2015, not only to realize their diversity policy and their targets, sorry, not their targets, I meant the diversity policies. I think we talked about that initially. There is no targets. But we also, for the village in particular, we work closely with Waterfront Toronto. They are the master developer of the West Don lands. As you know, as many people see at the base of the Gardiner and the Don Valley, there is that long vacant land that's been sitting there waiting for development for many, many years. I thought I'd give you a brief overview very quickly on AFP delivery. IO's major project delivery, we primarily use the AFP model, Alternative Finance and Procurement. It's also called P3, or some people do use that term P3. It's a little bit different in different jurisdictions. Essentially, AFP is integrating the full scope of the project: design, construction, finance, and maintenance when there is a maintenance period. Sometimes there's a concession or operation period for 30 years. That's considered the maintenance period. It's bundled all up into one project. We transfer that risk to the party who's best able to handle it, i.e. the private sector, and we make sure there's a value for money. The value for money proposition is carefully analyzed to make sure the project is delivering value better than that would be achieved from a traditional model. It is an alternative to a traditional model of delivery. Some people know it as a stip sum delivery of construction, or a build, bid, finance delivery. This is an alternative. Essentially, the public sector, or the owner, or the leader of the project, they deliver the scope. We set the scope for the projects. We make sure it does not change. Everything else is transferred to the private sector. Again, they are the people best able to handle the risk associated with delivery of the project. Essentially, from the cost of borrowing, or the financing aspect, it's more than offset by the risk that's transferred. Construction risk, delays, design risk, design coordination risk, typical that you'd find in a construction project. It's best handled by the private sector, and there is a cost associated with those risk transfers. As I mentioned, IO typically uses 3 models of delivery, or actually it's a variation of one of them. The design, build, finance, and maintain model, as I said, and the DBF are very similar. One has a 30-year operational or maintenance period. At the end of that 30 years, the facility is handed back to the owner, which is typically the government, or its partner, a hospital, for instance. The build finance is very similar to a STIP sum or design bid build. There is a finance component to it, but there is risks that are transferred over to the private sector more than that you would see in a stipulated sum contract. So for the actual Pan Am Games, there's some major infrastructure builds that we've been mandated to deliver. Besides the village, we have the University of Toronto Aquatic Centre in Scarborough, I'm sure you're all aware of. We have the Hamilton Football Stadium, there's a York University Athletics Stadium, there's the Velodrome, which is now in Milton, and we have a small bundle of projects, the Markham Aquatic Centre, the U of T Field Hockey, and the Etobicoke Olympium. So in terms of the Aquatic Centre, it was delivered in a design-build finance model. It is the Aquatic Centre. It's going to be used for competition of the swimming game for the games. There is a field house. It's going to be used for training and competition venues, as well as the Canadian Sport Institute of Ontario. It is the high-performance centre. It's coaching, training facilities, sports medicine. That is currently under evaluation and negotiation. It did close. The 3 bidders, it closed in January. The preferred proponent has not been announced as yet. As I said, they're still evaluating and negotiating. The next group of project would be the Stadium and the Velodrome. This is a group that's delivered by design, build, finance model. It was the football stadium, or the Iverwin redevelopment, home of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It will be the competitive soccer stadium for the games. The York University, which will be the track and field venue for the games, and the Velodrome in Milton, which is a cycling facility. The RFP has closed for that. It just closed, I think, 2 days ago, May 31st. And at IO, they will be heading into evaluation of the 3 bidders' proposals. And then we have the smaller venues, which were grouped. It's still being delivered as build finance. The build finance is typically used for smaller project or renovation projects where it's difficult to do a design build. The Markham Pool and Field House is primarily used at games for water polo and badminton. The Etobicoke Olympium is going to be a training facility for the games for a lot of the aquatic events. And then the field hockey events are being held at a new facility at University of Toronto. And that is currently open, that RFP. It's still going through the RFP open period process, which at IO typically takes around 6 to 7 months of an open period. It's a very intensive, interactive process with each of the 3 bidders. It's expected to close in the fall of, this summer or early fall. So then finally the Athletes Village, which was the project that I've been working on for a very long time, it seems, and it was delivered as a design-build finance model. Essentially, for the legacy state, we built it as a development of the community. We wanted to expedite the master plan community of Waterfront Toronto for that area. So it's a facility that's being built not for a purpose built for the games, but it's a legacy community that's being built, and it will be used temporarily for the games. There's a big difference because we didn't want to fall into some of the other models that you see, or the facilities, Athletes Village for Olympics and other games, whereby some of them become vacant at the end of the games and they have no use. The legacy use was critical to the province to make sure that every facility had a use at the end of the games and nothing was left empty. So it will be a community of market housing, affordable rental, and affordable ownership housing. There's a George Brown Student College residence. There's a YMCA recreation center. It's currently in construction now. It started in construction in September of 2011, so it's been under development for quite some time. They are on time, or probably a little ahead of time. And for the games, it will be the home for the games, for the athletes. It's really a one-stop shop for. It's not just accommodation. There's the transport mall, there's the huge dining tent, as Bill spoke to earlier, and the needs of that dining tent are just a massive undertaking when I think of what's required and what I've known. It's also, there's leisure facilities, so it really is a village on a village. It's a high security village, so in terms of a lot of media, you probably won't ever see inside of it, not like a lot of the venues. But it is a 2 million square feet when it's done development that is definitely expediting the West Don Lands master plan by at least 10 years. So the winning consortium for the village was Dundee Kilmer. The equity partners were Dundee Realty and Kilmer Van Nostrand. Probably know them, the Tannenbaums, very well from Maple Leaf Sports. The contractors are Ellis Don and Leadcore Design Build from British Columbia. They also, the design is again a joint venture. The lead is Architects Alliance. Peter Clues is a well-known architect in Toronto, as well as Bruce Kuwabara from KPMB. They are both in joint venture to lead all the other design firms to designing the village. So the approach to diversity. We realized in speaking with and working closely with Toronto 2015 that Toronto it's a city of unmatched diversity. There's diversity of race, religion, lifestyles. It really sets Toronto apart from a lot of other cities. We have over 200 ethnic groups and ethnic origins represented. It's with this diversity, this unmatched pool, experience, skill, knowledge. We thought this was the greatest advantage, and we really wanted to take advantage of this pool of talent. So for the Athletes Village in particular, Dundee Kilmer does have a broad commitment to diversity. I'll touch on that in the next slide. But we want to recognize that Ellis Don and Leadcore themselves are diverse employment companies. They have policies. They are very concerned and very committed to providing diverse employment opportunities. They do have Canadian recognition for being the top Canadian employers. So in terms of Dundee Kilmer's diversity plan, it's really 3 parts. They have an outreach program. They're really trying to get the word out through advertising, community liaison, working with IO through a lot of these networking sessions, and committing to deliver on their responsibilities. They're also working closely with the Central Ontario Building Trades and the Hammerheads program. Hammerheads program is very important to them in terms of getting the apprentices and the skills required to meet the needs of the village construction. They're also working closely with the subcontract procurement, diverse businesses through Toronto 2015 to much of what Bill has spoken to, and their process through the Toronto 2015 website. So in terms of all the venues, through the RFP process of all the venues and the village, IO mandated in the RFP that every bidder at the RFP close had to submit a plan. They had to submit a plan that really outlined ways which we are going to be able to involve local businesses, local suppliers, contractors, how they're going to involve them in their project. Each of these plans was reviewed as part of the evaluation process. It was reviewed between IO and Toronto 2015 to really make sure they understood the objectives of Toronto 2015 and laid out a plan that would be executed or could be executed easily within the time frames. So although that the winning consortia are responsible for assembling their own contractors, they do their own tendering primarily through invitational tenders, we have been arranging, as again Bill spoke to, a lot of these networking community liaison sessions. And many times we've had Dundee Kilmer participate or participate in these networking sessions. We wanted to help them connect with some of these local communities and small and diverse business owners. So we found that a way that if we can get them working closely with us in Toronto 2015, it would be able to reach everyone's targets. So in terms of opportunities for small and medium-sized businesses, technically at IO we had a website. We have lists and details really where every project is in the procurement process. If you go on there now, you will see everything that I have said, that the village is under construction, that the other projects are either in the open period or they're closed. even when there's RFQs closed and we've identified the 3 shortlisted bidders who will move on to the RFP period, they are announced on our website. So that provides an opportunity for a lot of businesses to directly contact these small businesses to see how they can participate in either the tendering process or afterward an award. As I said, we are very open and transparent in our procurement processes, and we do announce everything on the website when it comes to all of the village projects as well as all of IO projects. So it's important to note for the tendering of the construction for the large construction contracts, it is by invitation only, which is typical of consortiums. They have invitational tenders for the various processes in construction, whether it's the large processes, the smaller. There is a vast variety of projects or tenders that they put to the public or invite. So there is opportunities for everybody. It's important to note that a lot of the times, and this is Dundee Kilmer in particular for the Pan Am Village, but it's also with the other projects, typically consortium, it's invitation only, as I mentioned. As part of that, there is a pre-qualification period for a lot of their construction projects. There usually is, you have to display some sort of construction experience, there's a bonding requirement, there is a union affiliation. A lot of these large construction companies do have affiliation with the union, so there should be that recognition as well. They do look for safety records. These are just highlighting some of the typical information that consortiums do require. So I'll leave this on the stage. We wanted to provide a contact information for any of the businesses, should they be interested in any of the upcoming tenders. The tender list has been established. We have provided it to Toronto 2015. There is opportunities, but I thought I would provide the contact from Alice Dawn should you like more information. And that's it.
If you don't
a major sponsor, is well-published in the media. Do you have a list of confirmed sponsors available as of today?
It's a good question. The question was, do we have a list of confirmed sponsors for the games? And we do. We publish all of our sponsors on our website. So far, we've announced 2 sponsors, CIBC as lead partner, and Chevrolet Canada as a premier partner. And so far today, those are the 2.
Yes, thank you everybody for coming in. It's been a long day. I know that especially, some came here at noontime and probably didn't have a chance to grab a lunch yet. But I hope, those of you who either already having a business or who is aspiring to start business, hopefully you take something away from you today which can help you to take the first step of this 10,000 miles journey. Okay, we have this business forum every year, and for ACCE, for those who may be here, and kind of the first time is that Association Chinese Canadian Entrepreneurs, and we are going to have our next event in July, is a golf tournament, and hopefully I'll see some of you there again today. Again, if you want to be an entrepreneur, take the first step. You have to take so many tips with you today. Don't waste them. Take the first step and start right away. I think you heard one of our speakers talk about earlier, one of our past winners said, the most important thing is never stop, keep going, but take the first step and do it. Thank you for coming. Enjoy the rest of the evening. I know we got some lucky prizes giving away shortly. Thank you.
Carolina Vidas. Yes.
We will have a business card draw. And the lucky winner is Beyond the Books, Maggie Du. Congratulations. And the lucky winner is
Again, same one?
Caroline
Is it same one?
Dolas.
Yeah, the first winner, I think. Yeah.
Is it from?
Is that you?
Congratulations, yeah. You do your homework, you deserve it.